Poor girl, embarrassed by her dress, but Millionaire CEO fell in love instantly. SS General Aslak, RK, the Coffee Girl and the Ice King. A true CEO love story. There are moments in life when you feel the whole world is watching you fall apart, but none of them prepared Lily for the moment she realized her dress was on, inside out. As she locked eyes with the most powerful man in the building. She was sprinting across the marble sidewalk with one shoe slapping like applause, her chest tight with panic when she saw her reflection. Her zipper, front and center. Her neckline, backward. And the giant tag stuck to her chest like a billboard that read, amateur. She spun around mid-run, trying to twist it back in place, her purse swinging, her breath gone. Somewhere above, on the 30th floor, Nicholas Smith, the Ice King himself, looked out his window and laughed for the first time in 10 years. Not a smirk, a real, full laugh. The kind that made his assistant drop his clipboard. The kind that made him cancel his meeting. All because of her, the girl tangled in her own clothes. The girl he shouldn't have noticed. The girl who had just unknowingly spilled coffee all over the CEO's $2,000 0-cents shirt. She didn't know it yet, but that moment, the zipper, the laughter, the chaos, would change everything. And she would become the only thing he couldn't control. The Coffee Girl and the Ice King, a true CEO love story. There are days you wake up and wonder if the universe has it out for you. Lily Collins woke up to lukewarm coffee, a notice on her overdue rent, and a text from her best friend that read, "You better ace this interview or we're eating ketchup packets tonight." She didn't have the right shoes. She didn't have the right degree. But she had one thing, the tiniest flicker of hope, the kind that lives inside a girl who's been knocked down enough times to stop believing in fairy tales, but still shows up. She ran like her life depended on it, because it kind of did. She was late, she was sweating, and she didn't realize her dress was completely backward until she saw herself in the reflection of the building that could change her future. That was the moment her world split open, and 30 stories up, someone was watching. Nicholas Smith didn't believe in fate. He believed in mergers, stocks, and silence. They called him the Ice King. The kind of man who made boardrooms freeze with a glance. And yet, as he looked down from his corner office, he saw a girl battling her own dress like it was alive. He didn't know her name. But in 5 seconds, she made him laugh. Really laugh. For the first time in a decade. He canceled his meeting. He said to his assistant, "I need to meet the girl who fights fashion like a war hero." Downstairs, Lily burst through the revolving doors, thinking, "This is the worst day of my life." She didn't know that the man she spilled coffee on in the elevator, the one she tried to repay with a crumpled $20 0-cents bill, the one she called coffee guy to his face, was the billionaire CEO of the company she was about to interview for. Her interview was a catastrophe. A ringtone explosion, a grocery list of embarrassing items, a resume sucked into the air vent. But when Nicholas walked into the room, still damp from her coffee, and said, "The interview's over, she's hired," no one understood, not even Lily. She muttered, stunned, "Did I just black out, or did the coffee guy hire me?" He only smiled, because the truth was, he didn't hire her out of pity, or because she was qualified. He hired her because something about her felt like air in a room where he hadn't breathed in years. And that was only the beginning. Chapter 1, The Disaster Hire. Lily Collins was still convinced someone had made a clerical error. There was no logical explanation for why she had a job at Smith Global, the most prestigious corporation in Manhattan, when she couldn't even zip up a dress correctly or go one morning without stepping in something sticky. But the badge in her hand didn't lie. Her name was printed right there. Lily Collins, Executive Assistant. The elevator ride up to the 25th floor felt like a trip to another planet. The kind where everyone wore clothes that smelled like wealth and walked like they didn't know what fear was. Lily tugged at her skirt, one of those ancient pencil types that made sitting a gamble, and whispered to herself, "Just pretend you belong." No tripping, no panicking, no llama emails. She stepped out onto the executive floor with all the grace of a deer on roller skates. Nicholas Smith was in his office, reviewing a portfolio worth more than her entire neighborhood, but when he heard the unmistakable squeak of those thrift store heels, he glanced up. There she was, the girl who had turned his morning meeting into a comedy special just 24 hours ago. She walked past his door, holding a manila folder upside down, eyes wide with effort. Nicholas smiled, just slightly, but it was real. She didn't knock, just poked her head in and waved the folder like a white flag. "I think I may have saved these files as JPEGs," she said. "Or cereal boxes? I don't know. The printer's mad at me." He blinked, then chuckled. "You saved contract documents as cereal boxes." "Possibly. I also may have sent a GIF of a dancing llama to the wrong recipient." She paused. "By wrong, I mean your investor in China?" Nicholas leaned back in his chair, genuinely laughing now. "That's impressive. I thought I was fired." "Not yet," he said, "though I do fear for corporate security." Later that day, she managed to jam the scanner, trip over her own shoe, and accidentally brew a pot of coffee so strong it smelled like molten asphalt. By noon, she'd set off the fire alarm with her microwave noodles. By 2, she'd knocked over a stack of legal binders and trapped herself between a cabinet and the copy machine. By 3, she was hiding in the break room behind a vending machine, clutching a mini Kit Kat like a stress ball. When Nicholas walked in, he found her crouched there, cheeks flushed. She looked up. "I think the copier hates me. Also, I might have unplugged the server." He stared at her. She waited for the scolding, the sigh, the inevitable, "You're not a fit for the company." But instead, he crouched beside her, looked her straight in the eyes, and said, "You might be the best thing that's happened to this company in years." Lily blinked. Did you inhale toner fumes?" He smiled. "No. But I watched you crawl out of a cabinet like a war survivor. Most people would have walked out after that. You stayed. You kept trying." "I stay because I have rent. It still counts." That evening, as the office emptied out and the city lit up like a stage, Nicholas found himself staring at a blank spreadsheet, distracted by the sound of her laugh echoing faintly through the glass walls. She was still in the copy room, fighting a paper jam like it owed her money. He should have been reviewing projections. But all he could think about was her. "You're fired." "Just kidding." Lily knew she was in trouble the moment HR called her name over the intercom. The entire office turned to look. Phones paused mid-ring, keyboards stopped clacking. Someone even gasped, like it was the trailer to a thriller movie. She followed the voice like she was heading into a courtroom where the verdict was already decided. Inside the HR room sat 3 professionals, all wearing matching expressions, a little bored, a little annoyed, and fully unimpressed. The woman in the center folded her hands. "Miss Collins, we appreciate your enthusiasm, but there have been several incidents. Fire alarms, coffee on confidential documents, and an email to our international client with," she glanced at the paper, "a llama gif and the words, 'Yeehaw vibes only.'" Lily swallowed hard. "I meant to send that to my friend. We were talking about birthday party themes." "Be that as it may," the woman continued, "this kind of chaos—" The door opened before she could finish. Nicholas walked in without knocking, his expression unreadable. "Excuse me," he said calmly. "Why is my assistant being interrogated?" The HR director cleared her throat. "Mr. Smith, we were just—" "I'm aware," he cut in. "Lily works directly under me. If I had an issue, I'd handle it myself." He looked at Lily. "Come with me." She stood, stunned. Did he just rescue her? They walked through the corridor in silence, Nicholas a few steps ahead, until they reached his office. He didn't sit down. Just turned, leaned against his desk, and crossed his arms. "I'm sorry," Lily blurted. "I didn't mean to send the GIF, and I didn't know the microwave could explode noodles. And the label printer thing? That was Ethan's fault. Probably." Nicholas raised an eyebrow. "You think I brought you in here to fire you?" "Well, yeah. I brought you in here because people in this building don't know how to handle someone who doesn't fit in a box." She looked at him, confused. "I don't get it." You're different, Lily. That's the entire point. He pushed off the desk and walked toward the window. Everyone here is polished and perfect, and miserable. You walk in wearing chaos like perfume, and somehow, it works. Lily sat down slowly in the chair across from him. Are you saying I'm a perfume of disaster? He turned to her. I'm saying I haven't smiled this much in 10 years. That shut her up. The room went quiet for a second. She stared at the carpet. He stared at her. Lily could feel her face warming, and it wasn't the air conditioning. Well, she said finally, I may or may not have renamed a folder in your drive, stuff that might kill us. Nicholas cracked a grin. Add a few more, and it'll be accurate. A soft laugh slipped out of her, caught somewhere between gratitude and disbelief. He wasn't just defending her. He liked her. Later that afternoon, she found a yellow sticky note on her computer monitor. Don't worry, you're not fired, but if you bring noodles again, we're calling security. No noodles. She smiled to herself, folded the note in half, and tucked it into her wallet like it was a love letter. That night, sitting on the couch with Megan, Lily recounted the whole thing with wide eyes and half-shocked whispers. And then he said, I make him smile, she murmured. Megan froze mid-chip crunch. That man has the emotional range of a stapler. You made him smile? I guess. Oh my God, you're the chosen one. Lily rolled her eyes and tossed a pillow at her. But deep down, something was shifting. She could feel it. He didn't fire her. He protected her. And for a girl who'd always felt like the first to be let go, that meant more than she could say. The fake girlfriend clause. The photo hit the internet before Lily even knew it existed. She was standing in the copy room, fighting with a jammed stapler, when Megan texted her in all caps. You're famous. Check the news now. Lily clicked the link. There it was, a full-color photo of her and Nicholas in the elevator, right at the moment she stumbled into him with a cup of coffee and her face inches from his chest. The headline? Smith Global's ICEO in intimate moment with unknown assistant. Below it, phrases like secret office romance, mystery girl, and romantic scandal were spreading like wildfire. Her stomach dropped. She sprinted to Nicholas's office, phone clutched in her hand. He was already reading the article, calm as ever. I didn't mean for this to happen, she blurted. I was just carrying coffee, well, mostly spilling it, and then… He raised one hand to stop her. I know, he said. She waited for the rest. The scolding, the damage control, the corporate lecture about reputations and shareholders and decorum. Instead, he said something that made her jaw drop. I have a plan, he said, but it's going to sound unconventional. Lily squinted. How unconventional? Like move to a farm unconventional or fake our deaths unconventional? Nicholas took a breath. Pretend to be my girlfriend. Silence. Then, I'm sorry, what? He said it again, slower, more serious. Just for a month, he continued, to quiet the media, to reassure the board. We'll say we're dating, play the part, then break up, quietly. Lily blinked. You want me? The girl who nearly burned down your break room with instant noodles, to be your girlfriend? Zuli's grateful grin spread across her face. I'm sorry. Fake girlfriend, he corrected. Technically. Strategically. And what's in it for me? Nicholas didn't miss a beat. Breakfast. Every morning, pancakes, bacon, and the orange juice with the pulp, like you like. Lily folded her arms. You noticed the pulp? I notice everything, he said. Her heart betrayed her, with one hard thump. She looked away. You really think people will believe this? She asked. Me and you? I wear avocado print sweatshirts. You wear $5,000 suits. He stepped closer, not quite smiling. I think people believe what they want to believe, he said softly. And I think part of me already does. That afternoon, Nicholas called a surprise company-wide meeting. Lily stood awkwardly at his side, trying not to look like she was about to faint. He cleared his throat, looked out at a sea of confused, suspicious, overly curious faces. I'd like to make an announcement, he said. Lily and I are seeing each other. Someone dropped their coffee cup. Another person gasped audibly. Ethan, standing near the back, muttered under his breath, "There goes the corporate internet." Nicholas didn't flinch. Lily just stood there, cheeks burning, half expecting to be struck by lightning. When the meeting ended, people swarmed her desk like she was the office unicorn. Questions flew from all directions. How long have you been dating? Are you moving into the penthouse? Does he smile in private? Lily answered with a sticky note that read, "Yes, I am the chaos, and yes, he likes it." That night, Nicholas drove her home, a new part of the arrangement. They sat in silence for most of the ride, the kind that wasn't awkward, just heavy with something unnamed. As he pulled up to her building, he said, "This'll work if we trust each other." She nodded slowly. "I don't lie well." "Then don't lie," he said. "Just act like we're close. Laugh at my jokes. Look at me like I'm worth looking at." Lily turned to him. "That last part's not acting." He looked at her for a second too long. "Good," he said finally, "because neither is this." In her apartment, Megan was waiting with popcorn and 30 questions. "Did you just agree to fake date a billionaire?" "Yes." "Why? Because I spilled coffee on him and now I'm in a rom-com I didn't audition for?" She lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling. This was insane, illogical, reckless. But the weirdest part? It didn't feel fake at all. Chapter 4. The ex-fiancé returns. It started with the sound of heels. Not just regular heels, but the sharp, echoing kind that sound like money, power, and danger. The kind that made people look up from their phones, their spreadsheets, their lives. Lily was refilling the office snack jar with off-brand gummy worms when the air changed. People were whispering, shifting, retreating like a cold front had rolled in through the lobby. And then she saw her. Silver dress, perfect posture, lipstick like war paint. Ashley Montgomery. Nicholas's ex-fiancée, the one everyone talked about in hushed tones. The woman who left him standing at the altar 3 days before the wedding and didn't even have the decency to text. Lily stood frozen, a gummy worm hanging halfway to the jar. Ashley didn't hesitate. She walked straight through security without checking in. Straight to the elevators, straight up to the 25th floor. Straight to Nicholas. Lily arrived at the executive floor just in time to hear Ashley's voice drift out of Nicholas's office. "You look good, Nikki. I almost forgot how still you stand when you're uncomfortable." Nicholas replied flatly, "Why are you here, Ashley?" Lily didn't mean to eavesdrop, but her shoes refused to move. "I saw the headlines," Ashley said. "Thought I'd stop by and see the new arrangement." It's none of your business." "It's all my business. You're still mine under all that cold." Lily felt something twist in her chest. She stepped back, bumping into a plant she didn't see. Nicholas looked up and saw her, standing there, awkward, caught, uncertain. He stepped forward. "Lily," he said gently, "come in." Ashley turned, slow and calculating, her smile sharp as glass. "So this is her," she said, "the famous assistant who can't tell front from back on a dress." Lily stepped forward anyway. "Pleasure to meet you," she said, smiling tightly. "You must be the ex everyone gossips about in the break room." Ashley blinked. Nicholas almost choked on his own breath. "Well," Ashley said coolly, "I suppose it's nice to see you've moved on, to something new." "New can be refreshing," Lily replied, "like opening a window after a long, expensive mistake." Nicholas cleared his throat. "Ashley, this really isn't—" But Ashley was already heading for the door. Before she left, she paused, looked Lily up and down like an auction item. "Let's see how long you last," she said. Lily smiled. "Longer than you did." The door closed. Nicholas looked at Lily, who was now gripping the edge of his desk with white knuckles. "Sorry," he said, "she tends to appear when it's most inconvenient." Lily stared at the floor. "Why didn't you tell me she'd show up?" she asked, softly. "Why didn't you warn me?" Nicholas exhaled. "Because I didn't think she mattered anymore." "But she still gets under your skin." He didn't answer. And Lily knew. She knew she was just a temporary distraction from something bigger, older, deeper. She turned to leave, her voice quieter than she meant it to be. Next time, maybe let me know when the ghost of relationships past plans to stop by. That night, Lily sat on her fire escape, legs swinging, phone in hand. Megan sat beside her, wrapped in a blanket, handing her a cup of tea like it was medicine. So, she's tall, rich, looks like a supervillain and has the confidence of a wolf on Wall Street? Yes. And you told her off? Lily nodded. You're my hero. Lily sipped the tea, staring out at the night. I don't know if I can do this. Do what? Compete with a woman who has a yacht named after herself. Megan leaned her head on Lily's shoulder. Then, don't. Just be the hurricane that you are. Meanwhile, Nicholas sat alone in his apartment, staring at a photo frame turned face down on his bookshelf. His mother had given it to him after the almost wedding. Maybe she wasn't the one, she had said. And now Lily's voice echoed in his mind, her words, her fire, her honesty. No one had ever talked back to Ashley like that. No one had ever stood beside him like it was the most natural thing in the world. And no one had ever made chaos look so much like peace. The next morning, Nicholas arrived at the office with 2 coffees. Lily was at her desk, eyes tired, pretending to read a spreadsheet. He set one down beside her. She glanced at it, then up at him. What's this? Peace offering. And breakfast. Is it poisoned? Only with sincerity. She took a sip, closed her eyes, let the warmth soften her. She's not why you're here, Nicholas said quietly. You are. She didn't answer. But she didn't need to. Sometimes silence says, I'm still here. For now, etiquette and escargot. The first sign of trouble came in an envelope. Lily opened it while chewing on a granola bar, expecting maybe a company survey or a warning from HR. Instead, it was an itinerary titled, Corporate Behavior Training Week 1, Introduction to Elegance. She stared at the page. By the time she reached line 3, formal dining rehearsal, escargot and etiquette correction, she was already choking. She barged into Nicholas's office without knocking, holding the paper like it was a court summons. You're sending me to manners boot camp? She demanded. Nicholas didn't look up from his screen. I prefer the term evolution. Am I a dinosaur? He set the tablet down and met her stare. Lily, we have 3 public events this month. You can't show up in sneakers that light up when you walk. They're not just sneakers, she said. They're a lifestyle. He gave her a look. The board wants to see grace, not memes. And you think I can just transform into some kind of ballroom butterfly in a week? Nicholas tilted his head. I think you're full of surprises. She narrowed her eyes. Is this revenge for the llama gif? Partly. That's how Lily met Penelope von Schneider, a woman with cheekbones sharp enough to slice through glass, and a voice that sounded like it had been trained in the royal courts of Europe. The first thing Penelope said was, You stand like your spine gave up. And the second thing, you're not a lost cause, yet. The training began. Penelope placed a thick book on Lily's head and told her to walk in a straight line. Lily took 4 steps, tripped on her own foot, and sent the book flying into a vase. That's progress, she muttered. At least I moved. They moved on to table etiquette. Penelope laid out 12 forks and a plate with a snail on it. Lily recoiled. Is it still alive? It's escargot. It's emotional trauma. Still, she sat down and tried. Sort of. She used the wrong fork. She tried to fold her napkin into a swan. She poured water into a wine glass and spilled it while saluting Nicholas with a dramatic wink. Nicholas, who had joined to observe, was smiling. Actually smiling. You're enjoying this? She accused him. I enjoy watching you defy every natural law of social behavior. I enjoy giving you ulcers. Good, he said softly. Keeps me human. At the dance lesson, Lily stepped on his foot. He didn't flinch. Much. By the 3rd song, they stopped pretending. No formal steps, no counts. He took her hand, she placed her other hand on his shoulder, and they just moved. At one point, she looked up at him. He was already watching her. You're not that bad, he said. You're not that cold, she replied. He smiled. Don't tell anyone, it'll ruin my brand. Later, back at the office, Penelope handed Nicholas her verdict. She cannot be refined, she said. She is chaos wrapped in lipstick, and somehow it's effective. Nicholas looked past her, watching Lily laugh with Ethan as she accidentally jammed the printer for the third time that day. I know, he said quietly. And maybe that's what makes her unforgettable. That night, Lily stood in front of her mirror wearing a dress Megan forced her into, the kind that sparkled in places she didn't want to sparkle. Tell me the truth, she said, twirling awkwardly. Do I look like I belong at a gala? Megan tilted her head. You look like you're pretending not to want to, Lily exhaled. Do you think he's still pretending? Megan shrugged. He stopped pretending the moment he let you step on his foot 5 times and still asked for another dance. Lily smiled, almost shyly. For the first time, it was starting to feel like maybe none of this was an act. And maybe that was scarier than any fork she could misuse. Chapter 6, Elevator Confessions. It should have been just another elevator ride. But nothing with Lily Collins ever stayed ordinary for long. She stepped in with a travel mug, a tote bag full of half-crushed granola bars, and a sticky note stuck to her shoe that read, Boardroom 9A, no chaos allowed. Nicholas stepped in just before the doors closed, holding his signature black coffee, tailored as ever, eyes on his phone. For a second, neither of them spoke. Not out of awkwardness, but because lately, words didn't seem to say enough. Then the lights flickered, the elevator jolted, and stopped. Dead still. Lily looked up, then at him. Oh no, not today. Not in this dress. Not with this coffee. Nicholas calmly pressed a few buttons. Nothing. Looks like we're stuck, he said. Lily groaned, sliding down to the floor, arms crossed. This building has 37 floors, and we break the only elevator I'm in? You're bad luck. He smiled faintly. I could say the same. She looked up at him, narrowed her eyes. Do not try and flirt with me while I'm having an existential crisis. I'm not flirting. I'm coping. She rolled her eyes but grinned anyway. A moment passed. Then another. The silence settled. Not heavy. Not light. Just real. She tilted her head. Want to play a game? Nicholas raised a brow. We're stuck in an elevator and your first instinct is entertainment? It's that or panic, and I've run out of granola bars. He gave in. Fine. What game? Truth or dare, but classy. CEO edition. Sounds like a trap. She shrugged. You love control. I love chaos. Let's see who cracks first. He sat down across from her. Truth, he said. She smiled. Do you like working at Smith Global? He hesitated, just long enough. I used to. Now, I think I like the mornings more than the meetings. Why? Because you're here. Her smile faltered. The moment shifted. Your turn, she said softly. Truth or dare? Truth. Nicholas leaned forward, just slightly. Why did you agree to fake date me? She blinked. Because I needed the breakfast. He didn't smile. She swallowed. Because, for the first time, someone powerful didn't see me as a mistake. Just as me. A mess. But mine. His expression softened. Dare, she said suddenly. Your turn. He thought, then smiled. Close your eyes. Why? It's the dare. Lily hesitated, then did. Nicholas's voice was barely above a whisper. When you first saw me, before you knew who I was, what did you think? She smirked, eyes still shut. That you were either a model or a very grumpy barista. He laughed. A real one. When she opened her eyes, he was closer now, knees nearly touching, coffee forgotten, distance gone. The elevator jerked again, just enough to make her fall forward, straight into his arms. And they didn't move. She looked up at him, breath caught. His hand was on her waist, her palm rested on his chest. I have one more question, she whispered. He nodded. Is this still pretend? Nicholas didn't answer. Instead, he leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't perfect. Her bag bumped his knee, her hair caught between them and his coffee almost tipped. But none of it mattered. Because it was the kind of kiss that silenced everything. When the elevator finally powered back on and the doors opened, they stepped out breathless, with guilty smiles and wild hair. And the entire executive floor saw them. Ethan dropped his clipboard. Megan texted in all caps, "You kiss him in the elevator. I knew it." Nicholas looked over at Lily. "You okay?" he asked. She smirked. "I just kissed my fake boyfriend. In a broken elevator, during work hours, totally fine." He grinned, but neither of them said what they were both thinking. It didn't feel fake. Chapter 7, Ashley Strikes Back. It took Ashley exactly 36 hours to respond to the kiss. She didn't call, she didn't text, she went public. A perfectly curated interview appeared on the homepage of every major business gossip site. Ashley Montgomery, soft curls, glassy eyes, speaking in a voice just wounded enough to seem human. "I never stopped loving Nicholas," she said. "I made a mistake, I left, but you don't stop loving your soulmate just because you're scared." And then, the final dagger. Some people pretend for headlines, but what Nicholas and I had, that was real. Lily watched the clip on her phone from the supply closet, surrounded by toner and broken staplers. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just sat very, very still. Because Ashley wasn't just using old memories, she was rewriting the present. And Lily? She wasn't sure if she belonged in either version. Nicholas found her an hour later, hunched over her desk, typing nothing into a spreadsheet. "You saw it," he said quietly. She didn't look at him. The whole world saw it. "We'll have a catch. She's trying to stir the pot. It doesn't mean anything." "But it does," Lily whispered. "You had a life with her, a ring, a future." "I also had betrayal," he replied. "You're not her, Lily." "No, I'm worse. I'm temporary." He stepped back like she'd slapped him. "I should have known this was too good to be real," she said, finally meeting his eyes. "It was a fake relationship, Nicholas. We kept saying that, over and over. But it stopped feeling fake. And now? Nation. Now it hurts." She handed him a letter the next morning. Short. Simple. "I resign. Lily Collins." Nicholas didn't read it twice. He just stood there in his office, holding the letter, like it weighed more than all his quarterly losses combined. He could have called her. He could have stopped her. Bugs. For 3 days, Lily disappeared. No calls, no texts. She turned her phone off, ate cold pizza, watched old reruns with Megan. "You can't just vanish," Megan said, curled up next to her. "You're not a ghost. You're the storm." "I'm not the storm," Lily whispered. "I'm the aftermath. And Nicholas deserves better than cleanup." Megan threw a pillow at her. "He deserves someone real. That's you, not a silver-dressed mannequin with a fake tear and a PR team. It was hers first." "Yeah, but he smiled with you first." Lily looked away. The weight in her chest wouldn't move. "I don't want to be chosen because I'm convenient. I want to be chosen because I'm enough." A week passed. Then an invitation arrived. Smith Global's annual gala, gold embossed, velvet lined, and at the bottom, in Nicholas's handwriting, "It's not the same without you." But nothing has been since the elevator. Megan looked up from reading the card. "So, what's the plan?" Lily stood in front of the mirror, zipping up a navy blue dress. Inside out. Intentionally. "Chaos," she said, with a twist of revenge. She walked into the gala like a misdialed hurricane. Hair windswept, lipstick too red, dress reversed, tag waving like a flag. Every eye in the room turned. Nicholas was mid-speech on stage when he saw her. He stopped, mid-sentence, paused. Len laughed, not forced, not formal, a laugh that cracked every polished wall he'd built. He walked off the stage and toward her, microphone in hand. "Change of plans," he said into the mic. "Tonight's not about strategy or growth or charts. Tonight's about the person who walked into my life, wearing a backward dress, and made me laugh when I thought I'd forgotten how." The crowd murmured, cameras clicked. Nicholas stood in front of her now. "Lily Collins, will you come back, even if you knock over every glass and insult every escargot?" She crossed her arms. "Depends. Do I still get breakfast?" Pancakes, forever. They didn't kiss, not yet. They just smiled. Because sometimes forgiveness isn't loud. Sometimes it's just someone showing up wearing chaos-like armor and being loved anyway. Chapter 8. The Inside Out Dress Returns. The moment she stepped through the doors of Smith Global again, everything slowed. It wasn't the marble floors or the high ceilings or the scent of coffee and ambition that stopped Lily's breath. It was the silence that followed her, the kind of silence people make when they've already heard the story. She could feel their eyes. Some looked amused, some shocked. A few even smiled. But none of them mattered. Because Nicholas stood at the center of the room, microphone in one hand, heart in the other. And he wasn't blinking. Her dress, navy blue, elegant and yes, worn completely inside out, fluttered with every step. The tag bounced gently against her chest like a reminder. This is who I am. No edits, no filters. And he didn't look away. You wore it again, Nicholas said, his voice low when she reached him. Had to, she whispered. It's the dress that started everything. The zipper's still in the front. Some disasters deserve a second chance. He smiled, but this time, it wasn't the amused smirk he used when she spilled things or broke the printer. This smile was softer, sadder, full of something too big to say. You know, he said quietly, I stood in that elevator the next morning and hoped you'd get stuck in it again. Without coffee this time? With or without, he replied, just with you. Her heart cracked, not because it hurt, but because it finally had space to breathe. I left because I didn't want to be the girl who was just different, she admitted. I wanted to be the girl who was enough. You were never just different, he said. You were the first thing that made this place feel alive. The room had quieted, a crowd watching from behind glass. But Lily didn't care anymore. For once in her life, the world could watch. She wouldn't shrink. She reached into her bag and pulled out a piece of paper. Crumpled, smudged, folded in half 3 times. Her resignation letter. She held it up. And tore it in 2. The room gasped. Nicholas's breath caught. You can keep your CEO title, she said, but I'm taking my desk back. With your keyboard set to French. It builds character. That night they sat on the rooftop, her in that backward dress, him in his favorite silence, eating takeout dumplings out of the box. No speeches, no headlines. Just 2 people who had hurt, healed, and found something in each other that didn't need to be defined. Do you still think this is fake? She asked. Only if I'm dreaming. She leaned her head on his shoulder, the city blinking beneath them. I'm not a refined lady, she said softly. I never needed one, he replied. I just needed you. And somewhere in the night, between a wrong zipper, a right decision, and 1,000 almosts, Lily finally let herself believe she was loved. Not despite her chaos, but because of it, the projects that will never see anything like, the proposal nobody saw coming. The first time Nicholas Smith saw Lily Collins, she was battling a dress like it was her mortal enemy. The second time, she spilled coffee on his suit and offered him a crumpled 20 as compensation. And now, months later, he couldn't imagine a morning without her, chaos filling the quiet corners of his life. But he still hadn't told her everything. Not what he felt, not what he feared, not what he hoped. Until one evening changed it all. The company gala was supposed to be simple. Champagne flutes, glass chandeliers, and polite nods between executives who never laughed. But Lily walked in like she'd crash-landed from another planet. A vintage green dress, gold sneakers, hair twisted up with a pencil because her clip broke 5 minutes before arrival. And Nicholas, mid-conversation with a board member, lost every single word. She waved at him from across the room like they were in a diner, not a ballroom. And just like that, his chest hurt in a way that felt good. Why are you smiling at me like that? Lily asked later, sipping sparkling water from a coffee mug she'd accidentally stolen from the staff table. You're a walking contradiction, he said, and I've never been more sure of anything in my life. She smirked. That sounds dangerously close to a confession. Maybe it is. Lily tilted her head. So? What now? He didn't answer. Not with words. Instead, he pulled out something small from his pocket. A tiny, wrinkled, coffee-stained napkin. The same one she'd once used to clean his shirt on the first day they met. She laughed, blinking fast. "You kept that?" "I keep everything that matters." And then he pulled out a second thing, a small velvet box. Lily froze. "No. Nicholas, you are not—" He opened it. Inside, a ring. Simple, bright, no fuss. Just real. Exactly like her. "Lily Collins," he said, standing there in front of everyone, "you walked into my life wearing your dress backwards, and somehow put everything in my world right again. You made me laugh when I forgot how. You made me feel when I'd gone numb. And you made me believe in second chances." She stared at him, stunned. Everyone else disappeared. It was just her and him in this moment. "I didn't plan this," he said. "I didn't even know if you'd say yes." She looked at the ring, then at him. Then smiled. "You brought a napkin instead of a speech. That's very on brand for us." Nicholas laughed. "Is that a yes?" She leaned in, pressed her forehead to his, eyes glassy. "You're still wearing the same cologne," she whispered. "I didn't think you noticed." "I noticed everything," she said. Then louder for everyone to hear. "Yeah." The room erupted. People clapped. Cameras flashed. Someone dropped an entire tray of hors d'oeuvres. But all Lily could hear was the sound of her own heartbeat. Steady now. Certain. Because for the first time in her life, she wasn't stumbling toward something she didn't understand. She was running straight into it, and he was right there with her. Later that night, they sat on the floor of his penthouse, barefoot and eating leftover cake with their fingers. The ring sparkled under the kitchen light. Her dress was already half unzipped, and his tie was wrapped around her hair like a ribbon. "You didn't even get on one knee," she teased. "I thought about it, but then I remembered, we're not normal." "No," she said, "we're better." He leaned in, kissed her gently. Ours. Chapter 10. Even chaos deserves a home. Lily never imagined her wedding would involve a donut tower, a playlist made by Megan titled Love, Laughter, and Mild Disasters, and a veil she forgot to take the tag off of until she was halfway down the aisle. But here she was, in the middle of a garden strung with fairy lights, holding Nicholas Smith's hand as he tried to read his vows while pretending he wasn't about to cry. "Do you, Nicholas?" the officiant began. "Absolutely," he cut in. Everyone laughed. Lily raised an eyebrow. "You didn't let him finish." "I don't need to. It's always going to be yes with you." She swallowed hard, blinking back tears. Because for a girl who had always been just a little too much, a little too loud, a little too wrong for the rooms she entered, this moment felt like permission to finally breathe. The reception was chaos, which of course made it perfect. The cake fell over before they could cut it. Nicholas tripped on a flower petal and nearly took the DJ table with him. And Lily's veil got caught in a guest's chair mid-dance. But none of it mattered, because every mishap felt like a memory being written in real time. They danced barefoot in the grass. She whispered something in his ear that made him laugh so hard he snorted. And when the music slowed, he pulled her close, forehead against hers. "You know what's funny," he said. "Before you, I had everything, and I never realized how little that was." She smiled. "And now—" He kissed her temple. "Now I have coffee stains on my suits, paper clips in my socks, and a woman who turned my world upside down." "Sounds messy," she teased. "Sounds like home." Months later, their apartment looked like someone had decorated using Pinterest boards labeled "Organized Chaos" and "What Happens When a CEO Marries a Hurricane." Mismatched mugs, too many pillows, sticky notes with doodles instead of reminders. Nicholas no longer woke up with his schedule color-coded, but he did wake up with Lily, drooling on his arm and mumbling in her sleep about meeting deadlines and croissants. And somehow it was better. One night he found her sitting on the fire escape, eating cereal from the box, watching the city blink below. He joined her in silence, handing her a spoon. "Do you ever think about how weird this all is?" she asked, mouthful. "Constantly. You're the kind of guy people write books about, and I'm the girl they skip over in the prologue." Nicholas shook his head. You're the only reason my story got interesting. When they made mistakes, and they did, they laughed more than they fought. When she burned dinner, they made popcorn. When he forgot her birthday, once, she made him wear a tiara in public for a week. When the power went out, they danced in the dark with a flashlight between their teeth. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and that made it better than any love story Lily had ever dreamed of. On their first anniversary, Nicholas gave her a frame. Inside, the original sticky note that read, "You're not fired, but don't bring noodles." She laughed, cried, hugged him so tight he nearly dropped the wine. "Even chaos," he whispered, "deserves to be loved." And some CEOs, she whispered back, deserve to be unraveled. The girl in the backward dress. In the end, it wasn't about the spilled coffee, or the crooked resume, or the elevator kiss that felt too perfect to be rehearsed. It wasn't even about the fake dating contract, or the ex-fiance's return, or the night Lily walked into a gala wearing her dress inside out like it was a crown. No, the story was never about the chaos. It was about what happens when someone sees past it. When someone like Nicholas Smith, a man made of marble and money and silence, lets his world get loud for the first time. When someone like Lily Collins, messy, kind, impossible to contain, realizes that love doesn't require perfection. In the words of Harry Potter's wizard, I realized that love is ever possible, ever. His presence. She wasn't the obvious choice. She wasn't polished. She said the wrong things, tripped over air, and turned formal dinners into comic sketches. But she never faked who she was. That's what made her unforgettable. Because while the world tried to shape her into something quieter, smaller, easier to manage, Nicholas didn't ask her to change. He asked her to stay, and in doing so she changed him. Sometimes the greatest love stories begin when everything goes wrong. Because real love doesn't need a spotlight, it happens in the forgotten corners. The nervous laughs, the stapler mishaps, the way two people look at each other like they've been waiting their whole lives to be seen, and finally are. So if you've ever felt like too much, too clumsy, too loud, too emotional, too chaotic, maybe you're not too much at all. Maybe you're just waiting for someone who knows how to hold a storm and call it home. If this story touched something in you, the next one goes even deeper. Because the girl in the backward dress, she's not alone. There are more hearts like hers, messy, soft, brave, and more stories that whisper, "You are not a mistake. You are a miracle." See you in the next one.